So I have the distinct honor now of introducing 3 mayors who are going to help close our program with a special announcement. And that is Mayor Ed Murray of Seattle, Mayor Strickland of Tacoma, and Mayor Stephenson of Everett. I just wanted to quickly point out that I believe today is the 100th day of service for Mayor Ed Murray. So thank you for making the Global Cities Initiative part of your big milestone day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me start by saying everyone can take off their coat and fan themselves for a second, because I want you to really listen to what we have to say. As you know, there's a new book out called If Mayors Ruled the World, and we're here to show you what it would look like. Today is my 100th day in office, and when I leave here this morning, I'm going to go across the Sound and visit Chief Seattle's grave, Chief South to those of us who are locals. And it's, you know, it has some connections to today's work. Chief South was somebody who was fairly entrepreneurial. Some foreigners had moved down to a new area called Olympia. He got in his longboat and went down and brought them up, and thus became the city of Seattle. And that entrepreneur spirit has made Seattle a global city. We are the most trade-dependent state in the Union. And Seattle, of course, is at the heart of that. We are a city and a region that has produced some of the most innovative businesses on the planet. So that spirit continues to live. We live in a region and a state where we have inherited some pretty incredible opportunities. My parents' generation and generations before were willing to allow themselves to be taxed at a higher rate and paid for a first-class public education system and a public higher education system. That education drove much of what we see in Seattle, in the region, in the state today. So I'm not going to go on and on as I originally was, because most of the issues have been covered. But you know, you also heard about the challenges, about how we are not measuring up as a city and as a region with many of our peers. And let me just comment on several of those, and this is in no order because I was listening to remarks and writing this as folks were talking. First of all, unlike many regions, metropolitan regions around the world, in this state we don't have any natural regional governance system, the places that could leverage us to act. So it really is on us individually to develop those from the ground up, because they don't exist here. Our structure was designed more for the 19th century economy than it was for the 21st century economy. Those key areas that, again, built this state, an incredible transportation system, an incredible education system, are very, very, very stressed. And there is much that government could do to act, and there is much that government could do to be more efficient. But we have dropped from really a state that had high taxes to number 35. And so we have to ask ourselves, do we want a number 35 transportation system? Do we want a number 35 education system? We really do have to have a discussion, again, about a revenue system that was built for the 20th century and not the 21st century. And that's not an argument for more taxes, as it is an argument that government too must change, and how we fund government must change. We're also a place that, you know, we've been lucky. People were born here, people move here because of the incredible environment, and there's just a lot that we need to do to take advantage of the things we've inherited. We're working as a region, but we need to work more as a region. I have 11,000 city employees. There is one person among them who is dedicated fully to international issues. That's in a city in the most trade-dependent state in the nation. So I realize there's much that we need to do. There's much that we can do to streamline the permitting process you heard about. Government always needs to be willing to reinvent itself, and that's another thing that we can do. So, since I'm not going off my speech, I have to find part of it here, because I have a bit of announcement to make. So I am pleased to announce that Seattle and the region have been selected as one of the 6 metropolitan areas that have been invited to join the Global Cities Initiative's new Metro Foreign Direct Investment Pilot Program. Thank you. Thank you to the Brookings Institute and to JPMorgan Chase for that great honor. It is one that we look forward to learning from our fellow cities, learning from others around the globe, so that we can come back in a few years and say that we're no longer a city that's punching below its weight, that we actually are playing as we should play. Finally, let me end by saying there was a very interesting question at the end around whether Seattle should be a global city. First of all, this is a city where 1 out of 5 people was born in a different country, a huge number at this point in our history. We have a natural connection to other countries just simply by the people who have chosen to live here. Whether they came here as refugees or they came here to work at Amazon or Microsoft, we are connected to the rest of the world, and actually our local neighborhoods are a big way that we can connect globally with businesses around the planet. Second, this issue came up in the most recent campaign that I was in, and it was sort of framed as Seattle first versus regional, and I was the regional guy, and I talked about it, and at some point in the campaign we thought, well, we actually don't know how this polls. I couldn't back out of it at that point because the debate was going very fierce, so we pulled it. And if we found that 2/3 of the people supported a regional approach, not a Seattle-only approach. So regardless of sometimes what you hear or see on the blogs or in the media, the people in this city know that they're part of the region. They work in other parts of this region. They live or, they know people who live in other parts of this region. And again, that regional connection is also a global connection. So it's not a matter of if Seattle is going to be part of the region, we are. And under my administration, we're going to take it to a new level. It's not a question of if we are part of the globe, we are, and we are going to take this to a new level. So I look forward to working with you, but I particularly look forward to 2 people who are actually teaching me how to be a mayor. So let me turn it over to him. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ed. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. I'm Marilyn Strickland, the mayor of Tacoma, Washington, and we are very pleased to be a partner in the global initiative that's taking place. So when people say to us, as a mayor, it's your job to make sure the garbage gets picked up, the streets are fixed, the lights come on, that someone answers when I call 911, what are you doing playing in the global space and talking about foreign direct investment and trade? Well, it's important to us as well because in addition to all those other roles we play, we are the chief economic development officers of our cities. And that's a role that we take very seriously. And in doing that, we have to do everything we can to bring resources to our cities. And foreign direct investment is one way to make that happen. Now, I was part of the regional retreat that Maud talked about earlier, where we brought regional leaders together, and we learned that as a region, and that means Seattle, Tacoma, Bellevue, Everett, the Puget Sound, we're underperforming when it comes to foreign direct investment. And when you look at the assets that we have, that seems a little bizarre. Our proximity to Asia, the ports, our population. I myself am an immigrant. So when we talked about how we could fix that, we realized that FDI was one way to do that. Now, I want to share a story with you. In the city of Tacoma, we have a World Trade Center, a Sister Cities program, a World Affairs Council, a port, the Economic Development Board, and the Chamber. But even among ourselves in Tacoma, we don't have a deliberate strategic plan with how to attract foreign direct investment. So in our cities alone, we need to get our acts together. But as a region, we really need to pull it together because there are too many good things happening here. There are too many fantastic assets for us to say we can't compete globally. We do compete globally, but we're not doing it as best we can right now. Another important issue for me, though, is the chart that was shown earlier, and it showed the inequity in educational achievement, especially for children of color who are African American and Hispanic. If we are going to be serious about competing globally, that economy has to include everyone. We can talk about STEM education, but we cannot leave a significant portion of our community behind when we talk about those jobs and getting access to them. Finally, I want to talk about some of the great things we're doing in Tacoma. I'm going to China next month to be part of a cross-straits fair of economic and trade, and I'm asked to be a speaker. And Tacoma has had a long-standing sister city relationship with Fuzhou. And we had a project called the Fuzhou Trade Project, Well, we're now going to call it the China Trade Project, because from that relationship, we are getting interest from EB5 investors and others about investing in Tacoma. So being part of this is incredibly important to us. Last month, I gave my city-to-city address, and I talked about the importance of having a strong identity as a city, but also understanding that you're part of a region. I often remind people that SeaTac Airport is not named after the city of SeaTac. It's named after Seattle and Tacoma. When you land, the flight attendant says, "Welcome to Seattle-Tacoma International Airport." And I reminded people that it's time for Tacoma to behave in a regional manner. You can have a strong identity as a city, and you can have a fantastic identity as a region. So we look forward to being part of this. We thank the Brookings Institution for putting this together, and I am ready to rock and roll to make this the best region in the country. Thank you.
Well, I want to thank Brookings and JPMorgan, but most importantly, my partners in the public corporations of Tacoma and Seattle. I want to thank again Dow Constantine, who is an incredible regional leader for us and a state leader. I think the challenges that the two mayors talked about are very real in the city of Everett as well. So we're the gritty cousins up north. We know how to build stuff. We know how to fix complicated problems, and we have a rich history in aerospace, initiatives that have included 787, the U.S. Air Force tankers, 737 MAX and our support of that, and most recently the 777X. But we realized that as a county, we needed to do more and get better organized in terms of facing the future. So 2 years ago, Everett and Snohomish County community leaders merged our Economic Development Council and 2 chambers to form the Economic Alliance Snohomish County. And as a member of that board of directors, it's exciting to see the alliance led by our president and CEO, Troy McClellan, serving as a steering committee member, really guiding the efforts around FDI strategy and implementation. It doesn't hurt that he's also on the Port Commission as well. The Alliance is committed to growing and nurturing a vital regional economy that is globally competitive. And let me give you a couple examples of success that we've had most recently. We host a number of foreign aerospace companies. Umbra Cuccinetti and Pacifica Engineering are among 2. Umbra has expanded at Payne Field with new space of 70,000 square feet and about 100 new employees. They build all things that are associated with wings. They're an Italian company, employ worldwide about 900 employees and 170 million in sales. Pacifica was acquired by a Spanish aerospace company, M. Torres, and the 2 companies have moved to grow their competitive strength, both in Bothell and in Everett as well. The other thing that's not known by a lot of folks, that the North Puget Sound Manufacturing Corridor hosts over 220 aerospace suppliers in Snohomish County and more than 70 in the city of Everett. And our port is a great partner to all things Boeing, and it really is an extension of the Boeing Everett plant. The port handles 100% of all oversized aerospace parts, which include 747, 767, and the 777. And a few years ago, we built Mount Baker Terminal, a $30 million asset that really streamlines delivery to the Boeing company and reduces impact on rail closures. The other thing that was talked about that I want to emphasize is the incredible challenge we have around higher education and all education. For us as mayors, we're really at the bottom of the food chain when it comes to revenue. We see state shared revenue disappearing in our communities. We're undergoing an effort in the city of Everett to structurally balance our budget. I know Mayor Strickland has done the same kind of effort in Tacoma. But I think all of us collectively, as citizens and as leaders of public and private corporations, need to up our game in terms of our investment. Now, we realize that we have to show return on that investment, but investment in higher education is critical, I know all of you know this, to our future. There is the will, Our community colleges are doing great. We have great research universities. Our public education is really stepping up relative to STEM education, but they need our collective help. And so I would just urge all of you, as we face another legislation session in January, to really urge our legislators to step up and make the critical investments in education and infrastructure so we can be that world-class economy that we all want to be. Thank you.
So on behalf of Brookings and JPMorgan Chase, I want to say we very much look forward to working with the mayors and many of you on achieving your region's global ambitions. Thank you for staying a little bit longer today and spending the morning with us. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.